How do the schedule makers know? Huh? Kyrie in New York, he's missed 3 of the last 4 games, but he's red hot when he's on the court, averaging 27.7 points per in 9 career games at MSG. And all the buzz about Kyrie before tonight's game on ESPN was his comments earlier today, leaving the summer of 2019 open.
I mean, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, you know, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning the championship with the Boston Celtics. You know, obviously we had goals coming into the season, and primary goal is to win championship. So that's where my focus is.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st.
I don't really have any thoughts. No, I let him answer all that stuff. I think, you know, as I certainly read through it, you know, I saw, you know, it certainly wasn't just what was presented this morning. Like, I thought, obviously, he said a lot of things that were positive about here, and ultimately, that's our jobs, is to block out everything and make sure that we understand what we need to do well to have success.
It's great to have Doris Burke with us, who's on the call. Celtics Knicks tonight on ESPN, 7:30 Eastern time. And you were present. We saw you behind Kyrie taking notes while he was talking this morning. What did you make of what he had to say about remaining with the Celtics beyond this season?
You know, Kevin, I walked into Madison Square Garden this morning expecting a well-crafted, innocuous non-response from Kyrie Irving. And obviously he walked back what he had said back in October. And so I think it changes the equation. Now he and the rest of his teammates in the organization will be put in a position to answer some questions. And he frankly just opened the door. So we'll see. There's a lot to be determined to come this July. One thing I would say about Kyrie Irving, he seems to be a young man who, when there is adversity or when there is high pressure, and we've seen this in the playoffs, he certainly raises his level and can meet those expectations. But it's interesting that he chose to go this route, no doubt.
I mean, there's no doubt with the big stage, especially at the Garden tonight. Expect a big show from Kyrie back on the floor. Now, after trading Porzingis yesterday, the Knicks, they're setting up to be big players this summer. We heard Bobby Marks and Michael Wilbon talk about it. What must they do in free agency this summer now that they have all this money?
I mean, listen, we're going to evaluate this trade when the free agent decisions are made by, to me, the 4 guys that are at the top of the list on everybody. You know, it's Clay, it's Kevin Durant, it's Kyrie Irving. I mean, these are the guys that you must get now if you're the New York Knicks. This is an organization that, if you're a Knicks fan, you believe they have a plan. Kristaps originally was part of that plan, but it's got to be Kawhi, KD, Kyrie, and to a lesser degree, Clay. And if you don't sign some combination of that, Kevin, then, you know, I wonder what this was all for. Because it comes down to those 4 guys, period.
Yeah, we've seen in this league, you need at least 3. Countdown, top of the hour, and then Knicks Celtics on ESPN. Always a pleasure. And Dirk Nowitzki will each get 1 more All-Star game moment as he added the 2 legends to a special 3rd round of the All-Star draft, which will be held next Thursday. Captains LeBron and Giannis will pick from the pool of All-Stars in 6 days. In an expected move, the Bulls waived Carmelo Anthony. It clears the way for Melo to become a free agent and find a possible destination after rosters settle down following next Thursday's trade deadline. Oh, the possibilities when the unicorn is healthy and he's with Luka, and the possibilities in New York now that Porzingis is gone. On ESPN.com, ESPN NBA writer Kevin Pelton asked the question, could the Knicks land KD, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis? Yes, that's an and. Our NBA cap man, Bobby Marks, is with us. And yesterday you showed us how the Knicks could fit this summer, potentially, Kyrie and Kevin Durant. How are you going to fit in Anthony Davis if you get those 2 guys?
Well, it all starts on May 14th with the #1 pick in the draft. If the Knicks are fortunate to get the #1 pick, which would likely be Zion Williamson, now they've got a selling point for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to fit into that double max slot. What's going to happen, though, is that they can't make a trade right away for a player like Anthony Davis. Remember back in with Kevin Love and Andrew Wiggins, they had to wait the 30 days. That's the scenario there to fit Anthony Davis in. So come August, you can trade the number 1 pick in the draft. You would have to clear out all your young players here.
So Dennis Smith, who you just brought in, you just drafted Kevin Knox, they're all gone.
You are clearing the deck here. And you would not take Anthony Davis in with cap space. This would be a trade here. And then we slide AD in. And there is your big 3. Now, what do you have left?
Yeah.
You've got 9 or 10 minimum players to kind of fit around. You'll have your room mid-level, $4.4 million. But that is the scenario. That's the 3-step process. But it all starts on May 14th.
Okay, this is a realistic scenario, right? When you look at all the numbers and potentially dumping everything out, it all depends. They have the worst record in the NBA right now. Winning the Zion lottery will be the key for the Knicks as that bargaining chip for another potential blockbuster trade. Bobby, thank you so much. Let's bring in Michael Wilbon. What a week, Michael. And Kyrie's comments today has got the NBA world buzzing about the summer. Hearing what Bobby just said, what do you think about this scenario of KD, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis playing for the Knicks next year?
I know how close you guys are sitting to New York right now, and everybody's out of control in the entire region up and down I-95 near New York. How about just KD and Kyrie? How about starting there? The Knicks, remember the last time the Knicks had money, 2010, they pretty much struck out. They had money then. It was about the last time they had it. So now, and first of all, trying to predict where guys are going to wind up going in July now is like looking at poll numbers, in August and knowing exactly what's going to happen on election night. I mean, it's far from an exact science. So, but Kevin Durant, a lot of people, and just talking to club executives and agents this week, a lot of them think Kevin Durant won't be at Golden State and New York is a viable option. Okay, I see that. If Kyrie Irving does that, that would be such a start for the Knicks. They have so many other options. Remember, AD is still under contract to New Orleans at this moment for another year. So I don't know how much the Knicks would have in terms of assets to get rid of to trade for him. But the notion of KD and Kyrie, that's a lot to handle in and of itself.
It's been a crazy week around the NBA, and let's add that LeBron is back on the court last night. He played 40 minutes as the Lakers won. They're at Golden State tomorrow night. Prime time on ABC. Michael Wilbon here. Begin the show with the Brow talking for the first time since this trade request as we're inside a week of that trade deadline. The Lakers, the clock is ticking against them. First, let's go back to Monday. Davis's agent, Rich Paul, informed the Pelicans that the All-Star center has no intention of signing a long-term contract and wants a trade. The very next day, Davis was fined $50,000 by the league for violating a CBA rule prohibiting players or their reps from making public trade demands. Then, prior to the Pelicans game on Wednesday against the Nuggets, Davis was removed from the team's pregame hype video. A league source telling ESPN that his removal from the video was to prevent negativity, a.k.a. booing. Yesterday, Davis was named the Western Conference All-Star Reserve. Although it's unclear if the Brow will take part, he has missed the last 6 games with a sprained index finger. And then today, speaking out for the very first time publicly since that trade request, the 6-time All-Star had this to say.
I feel like it's my time. I gave the city, organization, fans, everything I feel like I could. You don't know how long you're going to play this game, and I feel like I'm in my prime right now. I'm playing at an elite level, and, I want to make sure that I take advantage of that. People's careers are short, and I feel like it's my time to move on.
Was there an ultimatum issued about wanting to go to the Lakers?
No, I never gave me or my representation never gave Pelicans, a destination or anything, so I'm not sure where it's coming from.
When and why did this organization not give you the confidence that you could win a championship here, that you could win at a high level, like you said, that's the reason that you wanted to leave?
Like I said, I just feel like it's my time, and it's just as simple as that. Thinking about my career and, my future, your legacy, or my legacy, and doing what's best for me.
How much does legacy matter to you?
A ton. I've had that question before, legacy over money, and I'm all about legacy. The money comes and goes. When I get done playing or leave this earth, what is my legacy going to be? My intentions is to play. I've been working to get my finger back healthy, Obviously, it's a tough situation, but my intention is to still play. And when I'm able to play, I plan on suiting up.
When you switched representation, was this something that you thought you were already leaning toward with your next contract?
No.
Great to have Woj with us. And you broke this story. You've been in front of it the entire week. Outside the Lakers, how are executives approaching this possibility that Davis could be a one-year rental?
Well, this is a game of leverage right now. And what Anthony Davis and his representation want to do is push a deal toward the Lakers. They have until Thursday's trade deadline to do that. And what you're trying to do is get the rest of the NBA to back off, not make significant offers, and allow the Lakers to come in and have the best possible offer and get New Orleans to do that deal. Now, New Orleans has seen nothing yet that would make them think they want to do any deal before the trade deadline. They still see this as a long play into the summer.
Yeah, so you're pushing the Pelicans in a box here with this deadline approaching because you want one team. So how are the Pelicans approaching this week and the idea that they don't trade Davis, they hold him for the rest of the season?
They went through this with Chris Paul as an organization several years ago, and they've gone back and they look at the deal they did then. And the one thing they know is it's better to do no deal than a deal you don't feel good about. And remember, the Saints, are at the head of this ownership group. Mickey Loomis works along with, he runs the Saints, and he works with Dell Demps, their GM in basketball. And, there's a mentality there of just not catering or giving in, especially. That's a little bit more of an NFL sensibility. And so right now in New Orleans, they need to be blown away by an offer because they have time on their side. He's under contract for next season. And most of all, they'd like to get the Celtics into the bidding in this process, and they can't do that till after the season as long as Kyrie Irving is still in Boston.
All right, we'll see how this plays. Woj, hang tight right now. We'll get your thoughts on the other big NBA story. That is Kyrie's future in Boston.
I appreciate that, Scout. I joined in, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
That was what Kyrie said almost exactly 4 months ago, but things seem to have changed. Let us review. The #1 overall pick in 2011 is having arguably the best season of his career, averaging career highs in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and assists per game, all while scoring nearly 24 points per contest. However, his team as a whole has not lived up to expectations this season. Very streaky, very inconsistent. They're still tied with Toronto with the best odds to win the Eastern Conference, but they're currently in 5th place in the East, 5.5 games back of the Milwaukee Bucks. Further complicating things, the Celtics are still trying to find a way to trade for Anthony Davis around draft time and then re-sign Kyrie. But they might miss out on Davis altogether, with Kyrie's future now even more uncertain, especially after what he said today. Listen.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I feel is best for my career. And, that's just where it stands. And my focus this season is winning a championship with the Boston Celtics. Obviously we had goals coming into the season, and primary goal is to win a championship. So that's where my focus is.
Has your mindset shifted, though, in regards to re-signing with Boston, like the announcement?
Ask me July 1st. This has become like an entertainment thing for everybody. So, somebody else is asking for a trade, and I'm thrown into that, and uncertainty comes back on me. And, at the end of the day, I don't live in this little hub that, everything, some people call me about this, this dumb, of course my name gets to keep throwing on in this. I'm not worried about a reputation. I'm not worried about a legacy to leave. I'm just trying to be a human being, trying to make the best decision for me and my family. So, obviously, things this season haven't gone as I planned. And that's part of being on a team where you're still trying to figure things out. So, I'm always going to be mature about that, professional, come to do my job every single day, and really just see what happens. That's what it really comes down to. I spent the last 8 years trying to do what everybody else wanted me to do in terms of making my decisions and trying to validate through the media, through other personnel, managers, anybody in this business, and I don't owe anybody. So I still have confidence in Boston and what they can promise for the future and what we have in terms of our pieces. And that's what excited me a lot about the beginning of the season, was the opportunity to, come into this season really just doing what we planned on doing, set a goal and go after it, and then see what happens at the end of the season. So that was the plan before, and that's still the plan now. Obviously Boston's still at the head of that race, and that's just where it stands.
All right, Roj. So we have gone from Kyrie telling everybody that he wants to re-sign with the Celtics to what he said right there, being completely non-committal. What changed?
Well, the struggles of this team. This was a team that had an expectation that they would be chasing an Eastern Conference championship, that they could compete with the Warriors in the NBA Finals, and they've underachieved. And they're still trying to figure out how the pieces fit there. Kyrie Irving has been working through what it means to be the leader of a team and have his own team. And, you know, some of the frustrations that he expressed today and what he's going through, these are conversations he has with the organization. They know that he's been frustrated, and they're frustrated with a lot of what has gone on this year. But, you know, there's no question. This was jarring for people who really haven't heard him talk publicly about his future in Boston since the night in the preseason where he got up in front of an arena and said he was staying, and then a commercial where he talks about wanting to get his number retired in Boston.
Yeah, it's really hard to track. I mean, so we will. Ask me July 1st, we will. That's the date he can declare for free agency. But, Woj, if they can find a way to bring Anthony Davis to Boston, how much does that affect Kyrie's decision?
Well, the organization believes it's almost an imperative that I think they have a lot of confidence that if they get Anthony Davis, that they will be able to secure Kyrie Irving and then work. You know, then they have Anthony Davis under contract for next season, and then they go forward together. But what the worst case scenario for the Celtics right now, and certainly what gives them pause for concern, is if this team underachieves, if it doesn't make the run in the playoffs that they all expected, and then all of a sudden Anthony Davis either gets traded somewhere else before the deadline or stays in New Orleans and they don't get a deal for him, that would cause concern in Boston. But there's still confidence there that regardless of what Anthony Davis is saying privately, the idea that he only would re-sign with L.A., Boston still likes their chances if they get him on the roster to convincing him to stay with Kyrie Irving going forward.
A year and a half after asking Cleveland to trade him, then going to Boston, Kyrie Irving's future once again up in the air. Woj, thanks for the latest on this story.
Thanks, Sam.
Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics in New York City tonight. There he is arriving. He's missed 3 of his last 4 games with a left hip strain, but when he has played in January, he has been excellent, averaging almost 26 points per game. And 8 assists this month. Not bad. Boston at New York, 7:30 Eastern time here on ESPN.